Hey there and welcome back to another video. Learning new songs is one of the most important and most fun things you can do on your instrument. But if you don't have a clear path to do it, you're going to end up confusing yourself, you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're just not going to have a good time. There are a lot of things that go into learning new songs and more specifically learning jazz standards, but I've distilled them down to 4 main things for you. The first one is going to be always have reference recordings in mind when you learn new songs. What are reference recordings? These are quintessential recordings of specific songs, specific styles, specific tempos, etc. to call upon when you learn new songs. When learning new songs, it's important to not only just have reference recordings for that specific song, but also in that specific style as well. For example, if you're learning the song Have You Met Miss Jones, not only should you know specific and quintessential recordings of Have You Met Miss Jones, but you should also have reference recordings of quintessential songs in that style. So if you're doing it as a medium swing, you should have a bunch of medium swing songs up here. If you're doing it as a faster swing, have a bunch of faster swing songs in your head. Also, and here's something that a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't end up doing, you shouldn't only learn songs and look for recordings that feature your instrument. I'm a saxophonist, but I know a lot of songs based on original recordings by trumpet players, by piano players, by vocalists, and I encourage you to do the same as well. What do you actually do with reference recordings? Well, once you internalize them and you know them really well, you can call upon them when you're practicing the melody, the phrasing, improvisation, the articulation, everything that goes along with recording to play it authentically the way it's supposed to be played. Trust me on this one, having these reference recordings makes learning songs so much easier. Now for the second essential song learning tip, that is, it's okay to use sheet music when learning new songs. What? That's right. There are definitely times when it's perfectly okay to use the sheet music for a new song. For example, maybe there's not a recording of the song. It's a brand new song, or it's ultra complicated and the recording you have is hard to hear what's going on, or you don't have enough time to actually learn it by ear before you have to perform it or play it or something. It is fine to use the sheet music if you use it in the right way. When you're learning a new song using sheet music, you should though still call upon those reference recordings, if available, to play the song authentically. Even if there is no recording of the song and you don't have a reference recording for that specific melody, you should find other songs in that style so you can learn the non-note musical elements like phrasing, articulation, tempo, things like that. The goal here when reading sheet music is to actually take it off the page, and even though you're reading it, you should be playing it as authentically as possible using all of these non-note musical elements. Once you're comfortable playing the written melody the way you find it on the page, now it's time to add some embellishments. This is where we're going to change around the melody to suit the particular style and to suit your own style, what you want to hear. You can add some notes, you can change the rhythm of some of the melody notes, you can add some syncopation, really anything you want as long as it fits within the musical context, the musical style, you can change it up to make it your own. I'm going to give you an example. Here's me playing the beginning of All the Things You Are, and I'm going to put the original melody on the screen so you can see what it's supposed to sound like, but I'm going to embellish the melody. I'm going to be changing some things about it, delaying some things, adding some notes, and I'm going to make it my own. So yes, I'm playing the original melody, and if I used sheet music, I would learn it first from the sheet music, but because I listened to reference recordings of this song and others in the style, I'm going to add my own flair, for lack of a better word, to it. Check it out. Remember, always think about your reference recordings. Doing all this will absolutely have you learning and playing new songs using sheet music in a musical and authentic way. The first 2 tips were all about learning the melody, but now for essential song learning tip number 3, we're going to talk about learning the chords. This is a crucial part of actually learning jazz standards, and I have a great way for you to do it. Some people just play up and down the chords and they say, I'm ready, I'm going to start improvising now. And that's totally fine, but if you really want to learn them for a long time and have them internalized, I have a much better way. The first thing you're going to do is play one chord tone of each chord for the duration of that chord for an entire chorus. If that sounds confusing, here's what I mean. You're going to take a song, and I'm going to demonstrate using a blues. And what I'm going to do is when each chord happens, I'm going to hold out first the root, which is the 1 of the chord, for the entire length of the chord. So the first bar in a blues is 1 chord. It's just the 1-7 chord. So I'm going to hold out the root of that chord. So in a B flat blues, I'll hold out concert B flat for a whole note. In the second measure, it goes up to the 4 chord, concert E flat. So I'd hold out an E flat for 4 beats, so on and so forth. If there's a measure that has 2 chords, that's 2 beats for each chord, I'll just play 2 half notes. And here's the thing about this. If you stay strict with it, you'll really internalize these chords because you're not just going to play the roots for one chorus. No, you're going to play the roots for one chorus, then play the third of each chord for a chorus, then the fifth of each chord for a chorus, and then the seventh of each chord for an entire chorus. Why am I doing this specifically? Well, most chords you're going to come across in jazz standards are some variation of seventh chord. So they're going to have the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh. So that's going to be 4 different notes you need to learn. Yes, there are alterations, there are extensions, but remember, we're in the beginning stages of learning songs here, so I'm not going to be worried about all that complicated stuff. And by taking each chord tone and giving it an entire chorus, so an entire chorus of the root, entire chorus of the third, so on and so forth, what we're doing is we're really simplifying what we're practicing, but we're internalizing it. We're being very strict with it. We're putting those parameters on. Instead of trying to learn all the chord tones all at once, we're breaking it down into smaller pieces. And by doing this and doing it efficiently and effectively, you will have it internalized and memorized for much longer. Here's an example of me doing this for 4 choruses over a concert B-flat blues. After you work on this and you're able to do it in time with a metronome or a backing track like I just did, it's time to play all the chord tones at once. Because I'm playing a saxophone, which is an instrument where you can only play one note at a time. If there is a chord for 4 beats, I'm going to play each chord tone as a quarter note. If the chord only lasts for 2 beats, I need to play each chord tone as an eighth note so I can fit all 4 in. I'm going to demonstrate this now in root position where I play 1, 3, 5, 7 of each chord going up, but you can absolutely do this in any variation you want. You can do it in first inversion where the third is on the bottom, second inversion where the fifth's on the bottom, or third inversion where the seventh is on the bottom. Or you can jump around. You could do 1, 5, 3, 7, 1, 7, 5, 3, whatever you want. Any variation of it, I'll leave that up to you, but I'm just going to demonstrate the way I want you to do first, which is each chord in root position. Check it out. After going through all this, and I really implore you to not skip any steps. Trust me, it's going to be worth it in the long run. After you go through all of this, you're not only going to be just able to play through the chord tones, but you'll have them internalized and memorized for years to come. For the 4th and final essential song learning tip, I now want to talk about improvisation. Remember, improvisation is just composing in real time. And composing is just improvisation with a pause button. The absolute best way to work on soloing more melodically is to write out your own melodies. Don't just write solos, though. Think about elements of melodies that you enjoy. Think about the phrasing. Think about motifs. Think about repetition. Think about everything that goes into what makes a melody different from an improvised solo. The first thing I want you to do is take a song that you're working on or that you enjoy and write out a new melody, but using the same rhythms as the original melody. So what you're going to do is you're going to change the notes. How do you know what notes to use? Well, you're going to go back to step 3 when we talked about chords, and you understand now the chord tones of each chord, so you can use them and other things in the key and other elements of the melody that you found there to now write out your own melody. But remember, once again, use the original rhythms from the melody. Because we're using the original rhythm and the overall structure of the original melody, it's going to give you a guide for phrasing through the melody, but because now we're giving you a little more freedom, you can create your own notes and try some different note choices that work and that sound good to you based on the chords. Once you feel comfortable with that and you can get through that a few times and you start to learn what you like and what you don't like, then you can actually write out your own completely new melody with your own rhythms, your own notes, your own phrasing, all that. Once again, based on the chords, but based on some other things that you may have come across when writing that first melody. Remember though, we're not thinking solo. We're not thinking, how can we play the coolest licks through here? We're thinking, what do I like about melodies? What have I heard in melodies that really stick with me? How can I make that my own? And then you might ask, well, how do I know what I like? Well, this goes back to reference recordings and always having these songs internalized. If you listen to lots of different recordings, you'll start to find what you like, what you don't like, and you can start picking elements from each in your own melodies. Now it's time to actually improvise. The first thing I want you to do is embellish your own written melodies. You can take the first melody you wrote where you use the original rhythms. You could take the new melodies you wrote, whatever it is, but take a melody that you created and I want you to embellish around it. Just like when I talked about embellishing the original melody with All Things You Are, you're now going to embellish your own melody that you created. Here's the cool trick with this. Because you're embellishing your own melody that you wrote, it won't just sound like you're embellishing the original melody or you're just stealing ideas from the original, because we're a couple degrees of separation away. You created your own melody based on the original, and now you're embellishing based on your melody. So even though you still have a guide and you still have a pathway and a roadmap that you're following based on your own melody that you wrote, because you're embellishing that and not specifically the original, it's going to sound completely like your own and completely improvised. But it will be melodic, which is the goal. All right, if you implement these 4 essential song learning tips, you're gonna be learning new songs faster, you're gonna be learning them more musically and more authentically. I know I went through these pretty quickly here in this video. There is a lot to learn in a short amount of time here with it, but if you want to go deeper and you wanna go further with song learning, I have some very exciting news for you. Next week, Monday, June 16th, through Friday, June 20th, you're going to be able to purchase my new course, How to Learn Jazz Standards, with 2 special bonuses. You're going to be able to get it $50 off the regular price, plus I'm going to be offering a free personalized video critique for you. That's right, you're actually going to be able to send me stuff and I'm going to be able to listen to your recordings and create my own critique video to send back to you. Not just a little text thing, not an email back or hey, good job. I'm actually going to be able to help you out specifically tailored to you. By the way, this is on top of everything else you get with the course and all the bonuses inside the course already, so it's really killer. Here's the cool thing. If you stuck around till now, first of all, thank you so incredibly much. I really appreciate the support, but I'm actually opening it up right now. Yes, I'll be sending a message out on Monday and all next week about it, but if you're watching this video, you can actually jump into it now and get these special week-long bonuses starting now on Friday. The only thing you need to do is go to davepollack.com/standards, and I'll also put that direct link at the top of the description down below and also in the pinned comment. Be on the lookout in your email inbox Monday morning and also here on YouTube for a bunch more information about it. I truly believe this How to Learn Jazz Standards course is the absolute best way for you to learn new songs. It goes in depth on my entire process, and if you enjoyed what you saw in this video, it's going to be even more incredible inside the course when I detail every single step along the way for you. Don't worry, it's not going to be too confusing or overwhelming. Yes, I'm going to give you a lot of nitty-gritty tips and specific elements to help you, but I always make things as efficient as possible so I'm not wasting your time. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this, and I'll see you in the next video.